Broncos news. Good evening, Broncos country. Welcome to the post-draft edition of Bourbon, Broncos, and No BS. My name is Kev Dan. As always, I got some fantastic co-hosts with me tonight. Adam, David, and Spotty. Guys, this is going to be a good one. Let's start with you, Adam, sir. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. It's the sun's shining kind of outside. It's been good weather. We have plenty to talk about as far as it comes to our newest Denver Broncos. So I'm ready to jump in.
I love it. Mr. Spotty, what about you? What's going on, man?
Oh, yeah. Spring is sprung. The nice little creatures are starting to come out in the woodlands. Now the nice little new Broncos are going to be wearing their orange and blue here on out. So we get rookie camp here the next couple of weeks, and then the season starts. I'm just saying, it's another wonderful start to the year, just knowing that the football season is right around the corner.
Well, don't forget about the schedule coming out in a couple weeks as well. So remember, guys, the Tuesday after the schedule drops, we'll be live for another full-length show going over the schedule. But not to save last for least, but David, how you doing, man? Oh, and he's having technical difficulties. That was just really well timed. I wish I could take credit for that.
he's having some anxiety stuff, and we're
exactly.
Between him and Jared, man, they just can't get their stuff figured out, man.
It's it happens, guys. It happens. Well, hey, everyone, hit that share button for us. Post your comments, post your questions. Want to hear from you guys what you think about this year's draft and how it all went. And we're gonna break it down here first. But before we do, I got a couple things for you. I went back, guys. I went back to the video and captured the moment that we all saw who the Broncos pick was. And I think it's just gold. It's just gold. So let me pull it up here for y'all. Jared looks like he's about to, I don't know what. I'm absolutely stunned at what's going on. Scott is just totally like, I can't believe this. Spotty, I don't know what that is, dude. Adam, that's the face. But here's the best.
Fume. That's a fume.
Here's the best. Okay, we all know David doesn't have a lot of expression in general. But if you see how high that eyebrow is raised, that tells you a lot.
I'm sure I don't know what you mean.
It was a great moment in Bourbon Broncos No BS history.
That's a wallpaper.
Has anybody checked in on Jared? Like, I know he's a big fan of the UNC running back, so he didn't exactly get his favor on that one.
Oof. I mean, hasn't worked out too well for him in the past, so I'm not sure. Maybe for the best, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Probably really upset that he went to division rival too. So.
Yeah. We'll see.
I mean, he's no LT, right? So if that's the truth, then it doesn't really matter.
Right. We got Clayton up in here. Clayton, you're a traitor, man. I saw you on the other Broncos podcast out there. I'm hurt.
Well, okay, but Kevin, what were you doing there?
I saw Clayton was there. I went in to call him a traitor.
I see. Okay.
I stayed for a while because it was a good show from 5280 guys. But I did tell them I would fight them for Clayton because they said they had him first. I was like, don't do that. Coming in with that like button and the share button, guys. Appreciate all the help. Wow. So let me be honest with you guys. The first round pick today, Barron, grew on me the more time that went by, and learning things about him. And I want to play a video about it really quickly, but just walk me through your guys' first reactions or kind of like what you thought initially of that pick as we learned about it. Adam, you first, buddy.
So at first we all saw my reaction, which that is not a happy reaction for people who don't know me. Not happy. Kind of the same thing. It grew on me as the week went by. However, I still feel like there were other positions that we could have invested that first round tender on that would have helped us more this year. I don't think that it won't help us, and he's obviously an upgrade over Jaquan McMillan that has shown a propensity to be picked on a little bit. Uh, but I mean, there were other places, and obviously there was running back. There was running back out there, and I'm assuming we're going to talk about the second round pick of the running back later on. But again, it was fine. It was fine. It wasn't worth my initial reaction, but it was fine.
Gotcha. Spotty, what about you, buddy?
Well, I had clarity a lot earlier than everybody else, I think, when it came to the pick. I just kind of sat back as the rest of the first round went by, and you just kind of look at the numbers, right? You look at the numbers, you look at the competition, and you look at the team, and you're like, okay, how can you make an already strong room even stronger, right? And I think what the Broncos really saw is they weighed what they had, because there was a lot of conversations that the Broncos, the reason that they went to that last second to make their pick is because there were folks reaching out to them to move back in the draft. And they felt so strongly about 𝐍𝐅𝐋 that they decided to stay put. I mean, if you look at the Falcons, to move into the first, a couple of picks afterwards, they gave up a next day first. So if a team is willing to give you that offer and then you're going to stick with the player, it all worked out. And I think for me, it was like, okay, what happened last year? I remember a game where it was Jameis Winston and Jerry Jeudy, and they torched us because we were not a healthy secondary. Jaquan McMillan, every time he was by himself, and then, of course, anybody on the other side, it didn't really matter. Anybody on the other side of Pat Surtain, they got juiced. So everybody that I've said and I've read, they're like, the joker of the defense is now just 𝐍𝐅𝐋 because he can do everything the Broncos need. So I'm taking it. I love it. I think that the Broncos are going to be happy about it in the next couple of years as well.
Oh, for sure. And David, before I get to you, man, I think there's a good comment here. You know, all these guys, the 3 shutdown corners now that we're looking at having, all, tackling. So that shouldn't be an issue for us. We know we've had trouble with that in the past. You're definitely looking for speed. We're trying to keep up with some of these guys on like the Chargers or the Chiefs. Like this is looking like an all well-rounded defense coming together here with some experience and some youth as well. But what was your reaction? What do you think?
I liked it at the time, and I just like it more since because it shows good process. It shows really good process and really good use of draft capital. A first round pick is a first round pick. Like, I get it. It's the 20th overall pick. But man, if you can get who is maybe, from everything we've heard, the Broncos had a really high grade on Barron. If you can get a guy who's graded in the top 10 in your draft class at 20, you pick him, and you don't think to yourself, what about the second best running back in this draft? In this draft, where you can get running backs anywhere you want, you can get a running back who can play for you. I love the process. I love the investment in what is a premium pick on the defense. As cornerback being one of those really premier positions that you just don't get talented players at young a lot. And you're making a better room, a good room, even better with it. But to your point, Spotty, we saw last year what happened when we had one injury in that secondary and the kind of effects it could have. And the domino effects that it could have. And so, I'm even happier about it now than I was on draft night.
Good points there. A couple things that I want to bring up before I play this video here. First thing, guys, are we in a Super Bowl window right now?
Yeah.
Would you say that this is a Super Bowl window for the Broncos?
Why not? Why not?
We're in a playoff window.
That's what I would say. Scotty, that's where I'm at.
Put you in a Super Bowl window technically, because all it takes you to win 3 games there, right?
I think when you win a playoff game, or maybe even make like a conference title run, and maybe just don't have that little tiny bit, or you got to beat like your last boss before you. That's kind of how I feel like the Broncos are in right now.
Yeah,
like they are in that. Like you're saying, Spidey, that playoff window right now where they are one of the better teams in the NFC. Are they quite that? I don't know. I don't feel comfortable that I want to say that just yet.
Right, and that's my point though. Like, if you're a Super Bowl team, like you are in your window and you need a running back, you go for it, right? You do whatever or maybe not a running back or wide receiver, whatever. You know what? You know, like you go for it. Otherwise, you got to play it smart, right? We still are paying Russell Wilson this year, so we still have that money. We're trying to not get rid of the draft capital that we finally have gotten back after that Russell Wilson trade. So let's be smart. And that was a huge part of the decision process there. You're right. There was no team that had a offer to trade back that matched giving up 𝐁𝐈𝐆 here. But I'll tell you what really sold me on it was learning this little fact and hearing about it in the press conference, but then the little interview here as well. So let me play this for about a minute, guys. And I just think this is says a lot.
I listened to that call and you asked them to put you on speaker.
Yeah.
Well, why did you say that? And then what did you tell to that draft room in Denver?
Man, I just wanted to thank everybody. Like, it's crazy. Like emotionally, like all the way, like tears. It hadn't hit me yet. I've been taking pictures of everybody and stuff. It really ain't even got a chance to just sit down and just like wow.
Yeah.
But I wanted to tell everybody thank you, man. They changed my mom's life like completely. They just changed my mom's life. That one call right there changed my mom's life forever. She just me growing up, she having to take me to practice, take my brothers to practice, take my little sisters to this, and make us happy, and then go work 2 jobs. Like it was stressful for her. So just for her to she's done work. She don't got to no more. You ain't got to clock in. So just for her to have the ability just to enjoy being a mother. That's one of the greatest gifts, to being a mother to kids. So she gets to finally enjoy that. So I'm happy for her.
But she raised a great.
So look, he's saying that he didn't even really have time to process what was going on. And the first thought that came to his mind was to say, thank you for changing my mom's life. The thing that we've talked about a lot the last couple of years, especially since Sean Payton came in, was the culture that they are trying to build in that building. And if you're telling me that these are the type of guys that we're bringing in, then damn, you're going to have an amazing culture, because this is the type of person that's going to put everything on the line for their teammates, for their family, right? So I'm telling you, like after that, I was 110% sold on this pick. And not just for the talent alone. This is the type of player that you want to have in your building, and that should excite every single one of you guys. Yeah, Christopher, it almost got me a little bit there too, thinking about it.
Both get here.
So, anyway, I mean, what do you guys think? Like, just final thoughts before we go on to the next picks, guys. Last thoughts on 𝐁𝐈𝐆.
I got something for you here. Okay, so I'm gonna take Broncos country back a couple of years. The Broncos were in need of a quarterback, and George Payton made the decision to draft a player named Pat Surtain instead of Justin Fields, which I know there's some company that are part of the Bourbon Broncos and No BS team that were upset that we didn't go for Justin Fields. And now, just a couple of years later, Justin Fields is now on his 3rd team. I believe no All-Pros. I believe no Offensive Players of the Year. Maybe working his way on a sorry team. But Pat Surtain is an Defensive Player of the Year, All-Pro, twice already? So that's a long thing to say that I trust what George Payton is doing at this point, right? Like, we have to take everything that we've seen and what he's done over the last couple of years by going through the draft and realizing that whatever his process is, it seems to work. Maybe his free agent picks haven't been great, but he sure as hell have done pretty damn well in the draft.
Yeah.
That was a really good point. I mean, I feel bad for being mad now because you keep making good points and stuff, and I don't like that.
Well, let me add what I hope is another one here, that I think Vance Joseph is going to use 𝐁𝐈𝐆 in the same way that Sean Payton uses Evan Ingram or RJ Harvey on offense. Like, he's going to have him all over the field. He's going to use him to disguise what the defense is doing, because they're going to have different personnel and different strengths and the ability to move guys around. And it's going to create havoc on the back end. And then, not only are you creating havoc, but you also have really good players back there. So if the quarterback makes a mistake, they can capitalize. Also, you have a really good pass rush. So it's going to be layers on layers for this defense, and it's going to be super exciting to watch.
Especially when you consider some of the guys that they drafted later on in the later rounds, just adding bodies to that pass rush. So,
For sure.
Hey, we'll still win the game 13-10. So if the offense doesn't even get up that many points, I sure as hell believe the defense isn't going to allow a bunch. So
yeah,
no. Well, that's the thing. You don't have to score a lot if your defense is holding them to like 3 points. Like, it's a very good thing to deal with. Yeah, Derek, exactly. Defense. I mean, this looks like, and I'm going to steal it from the 5280 show I was watching earlier today. I can't remember which of the guys said it, but they kind of followed the same pattern that the Philadelphia Eagles used in their draft strategy a little bit. So, and look, you're going defense heavy. We know that works. It's still something that, look, you take so much pressure off of Bo Nix still going into his second year. He continued to focus to grow and do everything else he's doing, but absolutely love it.
And look, if you want to win the division, right, and you look around the AFC West, in this division, you've got Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid. That's not going anywhere. Talk about the pass catchers all you want, right? But you gotta figure out a way to defend them. You've got to figure out, because the Chargers are going to do it completely different. They've got Justin Herbert, but they have Najee Harris and Amari and Hampton now, and they're going to try and run the ball at you a ton because they've got Greg Roman as their offensive coordinator. And then you've got Pete Carroll, who will do both. And he loves Geno Smith, and now he's got Ashton Genty. And so you have to defend all of these different kind of approaches to the way these other teams are playing offense. And so you have to have multiple answers on the field at a time on defense. And I think that's the defense they're trying to build right now.
Yep. And it's not to say that it's all going to fall perfectly into place this year. I do think you're going to see strides, right? But again, second year of a rebuild, we are basically at least a year ahead of schedule, the way Bo Nix and everyone has come along. So we keep adding pieces of the puzzle. And what was that?
I'd say
okay.
2 to 3 years ahead.
I didn't want to be too optimistic. Like, I didn't want to go too stretch, but I'm glad you said it too. But anyway, guys, let's make sure we move on so we have time for the other guys. Jerry, how you doing, buddy? Glad you're here. Pick number 2, round 2, number 60, RJ Harvey. So got our running back. What do you guys think? Harvey and Estime, 1-2 punch. Body is smiling ear to ear.
Well, I mean, as you guys already know, if you pay attention to the message board when I'm in there, like, I am all on RJ Harvey. And for all of our Colorado people who want an idea of what he can do, watch what he did to CU. I'm telling you, it felt like every time he had the ball in his hands, he was going to the house, okay? And I laugh because we all want to get ahead of ourselves, right? They're sitting there during the draft. They're like, well, that was a weird pick for the Broncos. There's 3 other running backs that we like there. Well, obviously the Broncos liked RJ Harvey better than Dylan Sampson or better than Toole that went to Virginia Tech. Like, it doesn't really even matter. Like, if you could tell that the Broncos had the ability to trade up, if they really, 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 really wanted Travion Henderson, they probably would have gone up to do it, right? But from what we've seen, there was something about RJ Harvey that everybody was like, yeah, this is the guy. And what are his faults? He's 200 pounds. Okay, that ran a 4.4 freaking 40. I'm just saying, like, that's still a heck of a guy, and he's 25 touchdowns last year in a higher division of football. What's not to love?
Dude, can I say it any better myself?
I think if you're looking for a comparison of RJ Harvey, because I wasn't as high on Harvey being in the second round, but where they picked him being like back end of the second, closer to the third, is kind of where I thought he would be. I would tell you right now, Broncos country, if you see Isaiah Pacheco and what he does in Kansas City, it's going to be something similar to what RJ Harvey does. Obviously that 4.4 speed, he is a very physical runner who is very good in between the tackles. And as a CU, as a CU honk and watching that game, there were lots of guys bouncing off of RJ Harvey. When I say it took gang tackling to bring him down, it takes multiple people to bring him down. I think at one point he was averaging like 7 yards a carry for a duration of the season. Like, you don't do that at the FBS level unless you can ball. So little surprised by it, but ended up, I really like that pick. I really like the RJ Harvey pick.
Yeah, I think it's because Broncos country didn't get the quote unquote explosive playmaker that they wanted in, like, Luther Burden or Travion Henderson. They are now just kind of determined to believe that the Broncos didn't get one, and that's just not the case. Like, RJ Harvey is let's put it really generously and say unfinished product in pass protection. And he may never be good at that at this level.
Sure.
But man, he can do a lot of really cool things with the ball in his hands. If you guys are thinking this is just another version of Jaleel McLaughlin, no, he's going to play the same role in this offense as Jaleel McLaughlin, but he's going to do a lot more different things. And I am really, really excited to see, like, the ceiling for him in this Sean Payton offense specifically, I think is super high.
Yeah.
I like the Bucky Irving comparisons. I don't.
There you go.
That's the player that everybody's talking about. Which, mind you, if you guys take a look at the way that Tampa Bay brought Bucky Irving on in this last year, he wasn't the guy from day one. It took time, right? But I could see there's a lot. They're almost the exact same size, almost the exact same speed. And you watch the fantasy football guys; they love the idea of RJ Harvey in the Broncos offense because you're right. He may not be the best at pass protect, but if you have to focus on him coming out of the backfield, and we're supposed to have one of the best offensive lines in the league, you got to commit a guy out there as soon as as soon as he breaks contain. So that might be just as good as being good in pass protect.
And if he's got, like, the scouting reports on him are consistently good vision is what I keep reading. And just having a back with that skill alone, I think, is going to raise the floor of this rushing offense, because we all saw that kind of damning stat at the end of the season, right? The Broncos offensive line created more yards for a running back before contact than any offensive line in the league. And our running backs had the fewest yards after contact in the league. So, yeah, absolutely. I think that's really something that RJ Harvey is going to be able to help us with, and the rest of it's going to come from there, maybe.
Yeah.
I think I'm sorry, Kevin. Go ahead, man.
Go for it, man. No, you're good.
If you're looking for somebody who looks like they run angry, RJ Harvey is that guy. He is probably one of, if not the most physical runner in the draft that they drafted this year.
So kind of similar attitude to a young Javonte Williams there.
I mean, different guys, like
different run styles, different, but the running angry mentality.
Yeah,
I think we haven't really had that lately.
I could see him on Kyle Brandt's. Is it Kyle Brandt who does the angry runs every Monday? I could see an RJ Harvey appearance there.
Okay,
for sure.
Okay.
Or they work these jitters out of 𝐓𝐿 𝐍𝐼 because we still need those short yard plays. So don't be surprised if you see 𝐓𝐿 is the one who starts the first game in the backfield, right?
Oh, for sure.
Don't get me wrong. You get a second round pick on a running back. You tend to expect that person to start right off the bat. But unless we're doing something wonky with play number one, I'd say 𝐓𝐿's going to be the one that's going to be taking the snap.
What do you think about this comparison, CJ Anderson?
Maybe a good one, but I think Anderson was a little bit, Harvey's going to be a little bit more explosive.
Yeah,
I think he's got a little bit more pop, a little bit more quickness.
CJ was thick.
Yeah, really thick. And I think a little taller. I think he was a little taller, but he was thick.
One of my favorite Broncos ever was Bam Bam, and that dude.
Yep.
Different guy though. He would rip off 8, 9, and 10 yard chunks. RJ Harvey's going to have a little bit more pop, like you were saying, and I think once they develop him a little bit more, I think you're going to see a little bit more out of the backfield with him too. I don't know that part of his game it's very underdeveloped. It's going to take a little bit of time, but if there's a staff that can bring that out of him, I think Denver could do it.
They're going to try.
This might be a bold thing to say, right off the bat, but I think already he's the most explosive back in the division. So you can take a look at all the running backs on the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Raiders, and I mean, yes, Ashton Jeanty is an incredible runner, but there's no one as explosive as RJ is.
He's I looked up Ashton Jeanty's measurements just to compare. He's 10 pounds heavier than RJ Harvey, and he's an inch taller. And so I'm not saying they are like similar players in any regard, but those two measurables. But that's at least interesting to me that you think of Ashton Jeanty as this like, oh man, this is one of the best prospects in 5 years. And then we got, we have a comparable player size wise, and everybody's, one of the big concerns is among fans that I've heard is he's so small, etc. No, it's not like that, guys.
I was going to bring this one up. Oh, I lost. I'm sorry, guys. So let's bring up this first one. I look for it. Do you think either of those players are going to get number 7? Because it's not just Harvey, but Barron was number 7 as well. So
I really don't think so.
I don't think so either. No.
It's like Abdul Carter asking the Giants to give up the 56. Okay?
Right?
Yeah. I'm sorry. There are jerseys that are the foundation of organizations.
Yes.
7 is the foundation of the Denver Broncos. Okay, 56 for Lawrence Taylor for the Giants' foundation. I mean, you don't even ask.
Yeah, you don't even ask.
No,
it's the ignorance of youth to ask, because
you
that is something that you don't. Unless Prime is on the retired jersey committee. I don't see 7 getting retired anytime or being brought back anytime.
Being brought back. I like that. Well, here's the comment that I did want to bring up from right here. Not sold on Estimé. Here's the thing, because I've heard this from a couple other people too. We may not be sold on Estimé, but you got to remember, we only saw what we saw in the game. We didn't see what was happening behind closed doors in the practices, out there in the field, in the weight room, in video sessions, all those things. So we don't know a lot about him. Okay. But obviously there's something enough there to say that the coaches and the front office have enough confidence in him to come up with this, Estimé RJ Harvey kind of 1-2 combo there. So that tells me that I need to trust in these guys. They clearly have a plan and see a purpose here. But we just don't see it yet because we're not privy to all of those meetings and behind closed doors practices and all that stuff. So, I mean, do you guys have any concerns with that though?
We know exactly what the Broncos are trying to do. I think I'm the one who says it the most, right? I think Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. Yes, RJ Harvey is a little smaller than Alvin. He's not a lot. I think Alvin's got him by like 8 or 9 pounds. Okay. Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara, the last couple of years for the Saints, right? The change of pace ideas, right? Mark Ingram was a big, sturdy, stocky guy, and as soon as you thought you got used to it, they threw out Alvin Kamara, who was the shifty. He's catching the ball out of the backfield. Both guys can catch. We forget that Estimé actually is a pretty good catch as well. So, hey, look, guys, I mean, we know what Peyton is really trying to do out there, and we may not be sold on Estimé. I don't even think Mark Ingram was even that great as running back in the pros. College is a little different, but in the pros, but like Estimé can really build in that. And if we don't have anybody loading the box, then I think he needs to find his confidence. I think that may have been one of the biggest things for Estimé. I think that's going to be an incredible 1-2 duo. I see Estimé with like 400 or 500 yards rushing this year.
That's a good point.
Well, and it's, Estimé was a 5th round pick too. So, you trust your evaluation of him. You give him another year. You kind of make him, you give him this role in the offense and get RJ Harvey to play off of him. And if it doesn't work out, you got another draft coming next year, and running backs for 3rd round picks are really easy to get in the draft. It's just a thing, especially if RJ Harvey turns into the player that you really wanted him to. but you maybe didn't get the kind of production you want out of 𝐓𝐿. Well, all right, we still got something to work with here, and now we know what we need in that room. So yeah, I get the concerns about 𝐓𝐿, but I like him. I think he does have a chance to really go out there and play effectively this year. But it's not as if he's a player who you sunk a ton of investment in, and now you've got to see results. Yeah, you can just try again if you need to.
Yeah,
good points here. Really quickly,
Yeah.
just, 𝐓𝐿's young. Keep that in mind too, guys. So and remember, rookies that once they see a full NFL season, it's different than college season with 10 games. So there's a big difference between 10 and 17 games, right? It's just keep that in mind, guys. Go for it, Adam.
I think we can say that the fumbling really hurt his development, because that's the biggest thing that kept him off the field. I think when you watch some of the later games where he actually did get a chance to run the ball a little bit, he showed you what kind of runner he can be. And I believe I heard from somewhere where Sean Payton mentioned that they don't. It's not like they felt unconfident with this 𝐓𝐿 and pass pro. It's just that now I'm blanking on his name, but Williams was just a really good pass protector. He was just solid. He was always where he needed to be. But there was actually a play in that Buffalo game where they had 𝐓𝐿 and pass pro, and he did hold up on a couple of occasions. It wasn't a huge body of work, but it was far from having like palpitations back there of having him be your blitz pickup. So I think with another year, especially with another year getting acclimated, I mean, those could be like an issue that we think is a big deal that really is not a big deal.
Yeah.
You might make the argument that the Broncos show some kind of confidence in the running back room with the fact that they didn't draft a running back in the first round, right? Like, if it was such a glaring hole for the Broncos, wouldn't they not have just taken the Omarion Hampton pick?
Right. Yep.
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
Easy enough there. We're not going to pluck any beard hair out of me today. But yes, I do agree. Broncos Super Bowl does not seem too far off in the future here. Chris says between PS2's rookie year and second year, look at the difference that made. That was, enough said right there. I agree. He also played well against KC in the no more snaps. So, was there something to put him in the doghouse? That's all conjecture and speculation. We'll never know. But yeah, Barron was definitely a no-brainer sitting there at 20 when most people had him going top 10, maybe in the top 15. Definitely did not expect him to still be sitting there at 20, which is another reason I went back and looked and, heard the fact that he was supposed to be gone way before us. That makes it clean decision there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on, guys. Round number 3. Here we go with wide receiver Pat Bryant out of Illinois. So building that wide receiver room with some more depth and everything. But what do you guys think about this pick?
I think this is the one I'm most excited to talk about, and I want to talk about it with Spotty. Because when the name came across, I was like, I'm sure I'm not alone in Broncos country. I was like, who?
Yeah.
Like, one of the Iowa State receivers was still on the board. There were other options that you had seen and heard mentioned consistently as like being in that second or third round range. The Broncos could have taken there. And then when they go wide receiver and it's Pat Bryant, and you're like, oh, from Illinois. Okay. But man, I'll tell you what I really like about this pick is that this is a Sean Payton wide receiver. And he might, Sean Payton himself said that Michael Thomas comparison. I don't know how much that's just Sean Payton talking up a new draft pick. But Spotty, I wanted to ask you about this because you've been the most hesitant about the Sean Payton experience here. And to me, this is another Sean Payton pick saying like, oh, man, we're doing my offense. We're doing my offense. We're getting, and I think Pat Bryant's going to be the big slot in this offense. We're getting that guy who can go catch a 7-yard slant route with 2 defenders on him. He doesn't have to run fast. He's a 4.6 receiver, but he's going to do dirty work inside, and he's going to block his ass off for you. And that's what Sean Payton's offense needs.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's actually two Sean Payton people here that we have yet to talk about. We'll get to that second one as a kind of a little bit of surprise and nugget for everybody. So I think saying Michael Thomas is such a tough thing to do to somebody. Okay.
Yeah.
Because, like, granted, if he hadn't have gone crazy and then slammed his pinky toe against the table like 3 times or whatever, the guy would probably still be in the league doing exactly what we're talking about, potentially even a Bronco, right? So I think it's tough for Sean to say that. I'm starting to move a little up the rung on the Sean Payton talk, right? I still don't see everything about him saying, yeah, like he was worth every bit of first round draft pick that we got, right? Because that's like a transcendent thing, but that's neither here nor there, right? We did get up the playoff win. It's really easy to ride that high right now after missing the playoffs for the last 8 years. So I actually do believe now, David, that he's got his people. We've got the Sean Payton players, right? This is the point where we prove if he's worth everything that we gave up. Okay, he's worth running out Russell Wilson out of town. He's worth the first round draft pick that we got, right? Because there's still a lot of people who aren't even sold on Bo Nix, right? So we know as these players go, Sean Payton goes. Okay, so I think this is the year that, like, halfway through the year, if we're looking at playoffs already, I'll probably end up being sold, and I'll eat, some whatever. I'll be eating my shoe on that one. So, but
you heard it here first. Spotty might eat his shoe later this season.
Spotty will eat a shoe live on air.
One of my first promises, Spotty, on this show was to eat a hat, and that never came to fruition either. So,
is it a shoe or is it a cake? Don't know. But to speak on the Pat Bryant one, I sent a stat to the boys a little earlier today, and I think that was one of the things that kind of opened my eyes a little bit. So if I can find it just like right off the bat, I believe that Pat Bryant had something like 163 catches in his career with Illinois. 19 of those were touchdowns. 95 of those catches were for first down. Let me say it again. 19 touchdowns, 95 first downs. So 114 of 136 receptions either moved the chains or put points on the board. That is wild to me. Okay, I don't care what kind of person we're talking about. And we're talking about a guy who's supposed to be slow. They're saying, no, he's a 4.61 40, right? That 4.61 40 is not supposed to be a guy who's a chain mover. But if you need, but I think we were pretty bad last year on drops on 3rd and 4th down, and
he catches everything. He catches everything.
Okay, cool, awesome. If we need a big body guy to throw the ball to on 3rd and 3, and he runs a slant to get you the first down, I don't care. Have him run slants all the time. Okay, what do they call Amon-Ra St. Brown, a slot merchant? Dope. Be that if it works.
Yep.
Right.
Do it. And he's 6'2", 204. I love it.
He's a big dude. I'll be honest, I didn't know a ton, and David, I was kind of in the same vein. I had to go on the Google machine and double check. I went and saw some highlights from what I saw. I mean, obviously you see the 4.6 for a receiver, and that kind of weirds you out a little bit. But they did mention on the broadcast that he was a guy that was quietly going up on boards as the process was playing out. So and then Spotty, if you're pointing out like that this dude is pretty much just automatic when he catches the ball. I mean, I think size wise he's a little different than Michael Thomas. I picture Michael Thomas being more of that inside kind of shifty slot receiver, but it's not unheard of to use a bigger player in at that position. And I think what you're really seeing, especially with these draft picks, these are touchdown scorers. These aren't, where there was an emphasis on putting the ball in the back of the end zone with RJ Harvey. You got Pat Brown, the kind of the flyer that they took later on in the 7th round, has 4 career catches. All of them were for touchdowns though. And and he was a basketball player, so you got to figure the athleticism is there. So so while this was a bit of a head scratcher, the minute that you did some work on it and really kind of dug into it, makes a ton of sense. You have an impending free agent in Cortland Sutton. You didn't burn premium draft capital on it, but you still use the pick to bolster your room. And it's kind of a redshirt pick. If we're splitting hairs over it, this is a guy that figures to be a little bit of a project. Boom.
Sure.
I mean, you got your project here. You get your feet wet in the system. We'll get you up and going next year. If we have Cortland or we don't have Cortland.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. Like, even if we sign him, which again, I fully believe we'll get a extension there for Cortland. But he is getting older, right? And you just got to be prepared, right? You can't wait for that guy to decide to retire or go down with an injury that's going to knock him out for a lot longer, than you would like it, and then kind of panic and be like, now what are we going to do? So to have that option and to have him, be around these guys and learn from these guys is going to be huge. So let's move on to the next one, guys. Just make sure we stay on time here. So I think we're looking at thumbs up so far across the board. But now we got Savone Jones. I think I said that wrong, but
Savion Jones.
Savion.
Yes.
I'll be honest, and we're talking about time here. We might as well lump the next two guys in almost together. And
sure.
Oh, David's got something else to say.
Well, I mean, we can talk about them as complementary players, but they do not play the same position, guys.
That's very true.
I want to everybody's got Savion Jones listed as an edge because I guess 3-4 defensive end is considered an edge player sometimes, but that's what Savion Jones is going to be. I think it's Q actually. Q Robinson is going to be your true edge archetype, 3-4 outside linebacker, but Savion Jones is your Jonathan Franklin Myers or whoever the Broncos don't re-sign after this year. That's who he's going to try and be the replacement for.
Right, but what I was really kind of getting at with that is that they're more like the depth pick for us. And we are more or less banking on their potential than we are banking on that they're going to come in immediately and be a difference maker on the team, right? So let's take Q for an example. He didn't play a lot at Alabama. He really didn't. But from his tape that they saw, you see someone who's explosive that maybe by given more time, he could be that third, fourth guy off the bench right now to do it. Because I mean, if you're looking at it for the Broncos and it comes to truly their edge rushers, as long as that we re-sign, as long as we've already re-signed Cooper, and if we re-sign Nick Benito, right?
Benito,
okay, that's 1 and 2, and then we already got Hill. We got I'm a blank on Hillis from last year. Yeah, and so that's already 3 guys, right? And then we see some Tillman and we see all this other stuff. So I think we're really just hoping that the potential is there for both of them. And then just like you said, I thought Savion was going to be Jonathan Franklin Myers, somebody who's potentially already who's not happy with his current contract. He thinks he's outplayed his contract already. So we need someone who is going to potentially replace him.
Yeah, Jones is more of a passer, so you see him more as well.
And he's good, and I think that he's like a super long player. I think he's got like 34-inch arms or whatever. To be drafted in the 3rd round and have his measurables, you obviously need to have a little bit of roughness to your game, and he does right now. He needs more polish, but I love this coaching staff to develop him. I think Q Robinson is really interesting. You talk about character guys, and this may be a little bit more of an underrated thing, but like for an edge rusher, and that's your primary position, and you think of yourself as that kind of defensive superstar, to make huge contributions on special teams, which is how he really made his bones at Alabama. Like that's a dirty job that you're just willing to go do, and to go out there and do it really well is that's a green character flag as far as I'm concerned. But like reading some scouting, like the guys who used to do the PFF podcast and now do their own podcast, both of them really like Q Robinson, and they were talking about like he's already got 1 speed move, a counter move, and then a power move also, which is like a pretty decent arsenal for a 4th round pass rusher to be coming into the league with. So they may have something in Q Robinson. We'll see.
And they say strong.
That's right.
The biggest thing that people say, that he's strong.
Right.
Like Savion Jones. Savion Jones reminds me a little bit of Marcus Spears from the Cowboys. Kind of a longer, rangier guy. Doesn't have the polish, but obviously you see something there with him, and he has the measurable stuff. So that the thought is probably that they can kind of develop him and be that kind of bridge player in the case that Franklin Myers moves on, or just we get injuries do happen. So knock on wood.
In a perfect world, we'll see them this year.
The Q Robinson pick is very interesting. Usually when you have freak athletes like that, putting them on the outside is kind of like one of those things of like just go be an athlete. So I think there is the potential that he could play a little bit and maybe flash a little bit. But one of the things that is not being mentioned that David did speak to is the special teams aspect of this.
Yep.
Along with improving your depth, that also means improving your special teams. So I think this is a bit of this was an addressing of addressing. This was the team basically addressing that, like, you know what, we can get better on the special teams arena too.
Yeah.
So
cough, Kansas City game, cough.
where the
Chargers game
let us down. Yeah. So getting guys. I mean, we do want these guys to come in with sacks and have those big plays, but an underrated aspect of that is improving your special teams. Q Robinson is one of those guys that can step in day one and improve the special teams unit as far as the coverage units go.
Yeah. So let's look at where we're sitting here at the end of round 4, guys. We have addressed cornerback concerns and depth issues there, which we saw was a desperate issue from last year. We addressed the running back issue, at least for now, to give us a chance to see what we have and let these young guys go out there and prove themselves. We got special teams being addressed in a couple of games that I just mentioned that were very pivotal. And you look at the coaching kind of snafu we got ourselves into on the special team side of things, that now we have a new guy again and everything. So I'm going to make sure that needs to be tightened up, because you can have great defense, good offense and everything, but special teams and those close games can really make the difference. And you're talking about this AFC West that we're in. There's going to be a lot of close games against some good teams. Okay, so we're addressing some needs. And then on top of that, depth and projects, things that, we can polish these guys up. They have the dedication, they have the skill, they have the ability. They just need some exposure. We're at the end of round 4, and you're talking about a team that is rapidly addressing the glaring holes, right? We're getting to the point where it's like, what else is there to fix? There's still some things, and we'll notice them through.
Yeah, you had to know he was going with this.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, he's milking it for all it's worth, though.
I am. We're not gonna spend a lot of time talking about him, but probably the best pick of the draft, my favorite anyway. Jeremy Crenshaw, the punter from Florida. And now we have a punter battle. I would like to see them go rugby style with Jeremy being an ex-rugby player. But any quick thoughts on the punter before we move on, guys?
Maybe the biggest head scratcher move. How about that? Because don't get me wrong, guys. I understand, but how many undrafted punters have the Broncos ever had? I feel like it's a lot. Okay.
Sean Payton has never drafted a punter until now. Well, this is the first one ever.
Okay, so it's a head scratcher because you can continue doing the depth thing, and what are the odds that we're going to give him a second contract? So that means that you get draft capital. So I get it. Again, I'm in Payton's. I trust, guys. He's the rugby style punter that there's not a lot of return yardage to it, but all at the same time, he's still got to work on his hang time, because we already know if you screw up in the NFL and you let that bad boy rocket down to somebody who's going to take off, then we're going to be in trouble. And then as Bronco fans, as we all know, special teams has been dog shit for so many years for us. It feels like everybody decides to return something on the Broncos. Sure, great. Hopefully he works his hang time.
if he develops into a weapon, like, and he's, not punter 1 on every draft board. I haven't looked at a lot of draft boards to see where their punter rankings are, but I have looked at a few, more than I want to admit. He's punter 1 on most draft boards that I've looked at.
For this conversation, yes.
Right. So,
right?
like, if you develop that guy into a true weapon and you already have the advantage of mile high air, like, you're playing chess, not checkers at that point. But I don't know. It's also, to me, it's a 6th round pick, and at that point, I don't mind you taking a swing at just about anything that you want to do. So,
yep.
To me, it seems like, why do you draft a punter in the 6th? Don't you just draft him in the 7th, or just get an undrafted rookie free? I know it's not a lot of draft capital. It still is draft capital.
It still is.
I'm not even hating on the pick. I don't know enough about the pick to hate on it in one way or another. As Spotty said, he seems like a rugby style kicker, which really limits return yardage in the college game, which is different than the pro game. So I don't know what, if the Broncos saw something in him and the Brain Trust saw something in him. Fine, that's fine.
Okay,
we have a battle. We have a battle in training camp that we can dissect. So it's given us something to talk about, I think.
I can promise you the Australians are taking over. Yes. No, I can promise you that the number 1 topic throughout all of training camp will be the punter battle here at Bourbon Broncos No BS. So for all of your daily punter battle updates, make sure you come back here, as I will be the only one keeping you updated, because David looks like he's falling asleep thinking about the idea of covering punters. Oh geez. Let's see, Jacob. No, they are not changing the kickoff rules. We got the same ones we had last year, so those were not one of the changes that they're going to make, and I have a feeling that's going to stick around for a while. Good question though. But we got to our last pick of the year, pick number 241 overall, Caleb Lohner, tight end from Utah. So we got another tight end, guys. But no, what do you guys think?
Can we stop doing comparisons to other Saints
yes,
players?
We can stop doing at this point. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, can you just not throw something like this on this poor kid? Like, they're like, awesome. He's just like Jimmy Graham. Is he? Is he
though? No, he's not.
Okay. All right. That's the first thing I want to say. I'm curious what David thinks about it. How about that?
It's a puzzling one to me. It's the most puzzling pick of the draft to me for the Broncos, but it's your 7th round pick, so who cares? You draft a tight end. I don't know. He's like 6'7" or something like that. And like you said, or Adam said, I believe he caught 4 touchdown passes, and those were his 4 receptions in college. So, I think I saw that too, Spotty. I think he had 5 total receptions, but 4 were touchdowns.
Hey, you be faithful with that catch. That's 25. That's 20% of his output.
That's it's true. But I don't know. I don't think this draft is going to hinge on what Caleb Lohner does or doesn't do. And
what?
I just don't think so. I really don't think so. So I'm not losing any sleep one way or t'other.
There you go, Keith. Julius Thomas. Do you guys want to?
I will not compare a tight end who has 4 catches or 5 catches to anybody. I won't do it. There is no NFL comp.
He has more potential to be Wesley Duke than Julius Thomas. So.
No, Kevin, I wouldn't compare him to you, because the only way you'd be able to make an accurate comparison is if we stacked 2 of you on top of each other. And so, no.
With the trench coat, like the big trench coat, and there's one guy at the top, and
you got to have the trench coat. You
got
to do it.
Yeah. So
because we don't, try to push out any misinformation or anything, I will say I stand corrected. There was a slight change to the kickoff rules. The placement is now at the 35-yard line for a touchback instead of the 30. So slight rule change there, but I am corrected. I'm corrected. I don't think it's going to have any impact.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, it is one less first down that an offense has to come up with.
Oh man,
But
it's gonna be fun, guys.
just to go back to Loner, you know how they were talking about how tall he is? I don't know if you guys actually watched his touchdowns. Like, they weren't thrown up in the air. Like that everybody's like, he was a basketball player for 2 years, and like that's why they brought him on, because he's like Jimmy Graham. Like, no, he was wide the fuck open. Like, that's just like it's not like they threw it up and he had a jump ball. He might have had one jump ball in all that
He did.
situation. But just to touch on it, he had 1 year of organized football for a not very good offensive football team in Utah. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're all like, oh, he's on the practice squad.
Yeah.
So overall, Kevin, I wouldn't expect much out of Caleb Lohner this year, but it'll be a nice surprise, right?
Will be. It will be. Hey guys, okay, before we get into some closing thoughts here, make sure you stick around. We are not quite done yet. Remember that every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, we are live with the Bourbon Broncos No BS. Next week, we'll be back to the shorter 30-minute versions, covering probably the undrafted free agents, whatever, rookies, blah, blah, blah. Brain fart there. Sorry, guys. I will be covering that. I'll make sure I know the nomenclature before the show. And any other questions you guys have. So make sure you tune in next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe for all of our other videos and get notified of everything we're doing throughout the season. Remember, guys, this is our 10th anniversary. If you missed the draft show, we already gave away 3 draft night caps to some prize winners. So we got some more prizes come down the pike, and I've already announced it. I'll say it again. When and if, because I don't want to jinx anything, the Broncos hit 10 wins this year, we will be giving away 3 Bo Nix jerseys, and we'll be coming up with some information and send that out to you guys before too long on how to start entering for that. So just stick around. We got a ton of other stuff coming down the pike to celebrate our 10th anniversary, and thank you guys for sticking around as long as you have. But guys, it's time to do some closing thoughts as we wrap up the draft and start really looking at what this team's gonna, look like once the season starts in September. So, Adam, man, starting with you, bud, what do you think?
I think you can really get a good idea of the kind of season that maybe the projection of what the team is, what they think it can be based on their draft. So I think there was a huge perception out there of what Denver was going to do. And then they kind of flipped the script on that a little bit. And especially to I like to think that I'm pretty up on the draft. And there were some players out there that the Pat Bryant pick. I had no idea. But when you kind of look, all these players have a chance to fill a certain role on this team that even this year. So to even get Jahdae Barron at 24 or at 20, now you have that kind of Swiss Army knife type of player in the back end that we haven't had in a little bit, and taking a good defense and possibly being one of those special defenses now. Everything that they're doing on offense, I mean, this may be a delayed gratification draft, but I still think that this draft has a lot of potential to be another good one built by by the Paytons.
Nice. I like it, man. Spotty, what about you, buddy?
As someone who likes to look at draft grades and draft analysis as soon as the draft is done, I just like a reminder to all of Broncos Nation of how stupid it is. Considering that draft grade for Pat Mahomes was a C to C plus.
Right.
If you look back at it, and the Browns have had years where they've got A and A pluses, yet I'm pretty sure the Browns don't have any Super Bowl wins. So with that being said, we have to take what we see and what we hear with a grain of salt. It's not about the specific player that is drafted, but it's how they are implemented on the team and how they are worked into our system. So I will continue to trust in the Paytons and the picks that they have, even though I may not understand why they did it or when they did it. So I am not paid to sit on my couch and drink beer, but that's exactly what I'm going to do. So all I have to say is really I'm happy about it, and I'm looking forward to see what these guys are going to do for us.
Beautifully said, man. Love it. Mr. David.
Yeah, I think that you guys in Broncos country, if you hear any, I'm not going to name any names, but certain media talking heads in the Denver area that will use the word panic to talk about the way the Broncos drafted in the first round, or will complain about the fact that the Broncos didn't get the right playmakers. The Broncos trusted their board, and they got the playmakers that they saw fitting what they want to do as a team. And they're not interested at all in what outside of I can guarantee you Sean Payton doesn't give a good goddamn about what anybody in the Denver media thinks he should be doing with his team. Because in Sean Payton's mind, Sean Payton's won a Super Bowl, and that means he gets to plug his ears and not listen anymore. And I'm not totally here to disagree with that. Like, Sean Payton hires coaches to give him input. And I think that he came together with those coaches and with scouts to say, these are the type of players that we want. This is the type of thing that we want to do with them. And I think the Broncos followed that process from start to finish in this draft. And I'm really, really excited to see if that pays the amount of dividends that they think it will.
I like it. Makes a lot of sense, guys. Overall, again, there's a lot of positivity here. You're right. I think a good point there is this might have to wait a little bit for it to develop. But that's okay, because if we have players that we develop that stick with the team for the long run, and we grow organically like these teams like the Chiefs and the Eagles that are doing just that and finding all of the success, that's where I want the Broncos to be in the next couple of years. And it's entirely possible to see that at this point. So get ready for it, guys. Mike says, I wish we were on more than once a week. Wait till the start of the season. And we will be. Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, game days twice. And yeah, so get ready for it, guys. It's going to be a good time. So with that being said, appreciate you all tuning in. Once again, make sure you hit like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you back here next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, breaking down some more Broncos coverage. With that, I got nothing left to say for the night other than end this, as we always do, on a very strong Go Broncos! Take care, guys.
Do what I like, yeah, do what I like, yeah, do what I like. Sip and go, sip is right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, cause I know I'm the show, in the zone, here I